We're here with Nico Santos from Superstore. Tell us, how's the experience been on the show?
It's been great. I mean, like from the very first day, season 1, we all really sort of, actually even before we started shooting, when we all met to read together, it was sort of like an instant connection between the cast. So it's been such a really amazing, enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
Coming to work is kind of like being, in summer camp. You're just hanging out with your barkada, and it's been great. Yeah.
And then Tapos, you're like, they highlight your Filipino-ness. Have you been able to infuse more of your ideas of the Filipino culture with the writers or whatnot? Or
yeah, well, when Mateo was first written, in the original script, hindi siya Filipino.
Oh, really?
He was supposed to be Latino. Machong Latino ang original description for Mateo. Tapos when I auditioned, I sort of made it just like a different version of me.
Oh yeah.
Parang exaggerated version of me. So nagustuhan naman nila, and then they turned it into a Filipino character. So we've had discussions about about my Filipino upbringing. So like we all met with the writers, each one of us, to talk about different aspects about the Filipino culture. And it was actually the decision to make my character undocumented was that the creator of the show had read this article about this guy who found out he was undocumented after he applied for college.
Oh yeah.
So that's why he decided to make my character undocumented, and he was asking me like, okay lang ba yun kung kami undocumented? Of course, alam mo naman mga Pilipino, we all have experience, especially in America.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We all know, may kilala tayo, maski isang tao na walang papeles, di ba? TNT. So it was something I was very familiar with. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. What I found funny was like when they were asking, should we change the name? Like, because originally it was a Latino person.
Right.
And like, should we change the name to something more Filipino sounding? And I was like, well, Mateo Hernandez is already a Filipino name.
Right.
So he was like, is there a last name that we could change it to make it more Filipino sounding? And I sent them a list, but they picked the one I chose, which was Mateo Fernando Aquino Liwanag.
Okay. I thought they were
Filipino
I thought they might say Dumurukot or something like that.
Makabuwag or something.
Yeah. So have they been playing around with more of the character line because with the whole Trump situation and all that, or are they trying to keep it as less political?
We haven't really. We've dealt with the Trump thing just once when we did the election episode, but we are this next episode that's just going to be airing this week. Was directed by America Ferrera.
Okay.
And in this episode, we are going to deal a little bit more with Mateo's undocumented status.
Oh wow!
So tune in.
So do you get, how us Filipinos love to cook and share food? Do you get to share that with the cast? Like lumpia, pancit? Do you get to bring any or?
You know what? I haven't brought in anything yet, but the crew is always bugging me. Like, when are you gonna bring some lumpia? When are you gonna bring some lumpia? Our hours are very long, so I'm actually trying to convince my mom to come down and cook for everybody.
Ay, loco, I can cook. I make pancit and lumpia.
I make really good adobo.
Really?
Yeah, I like to cook.
Yeah. So what do you want to say to mga Filipino that think that they have to break a glass ceiling or bamboo ceiling dito sa Hollywood?
Well, it's really... Listen, I mean, Asian representation is very few and far between. We're definitely the most underrepresented community out there in the media right now. But, I mean, I'm myself surprised at how far I've gotten. I didn't think I would get this far. So I think for anybody out there who's curious or interested in breaking into this industry, I think it's important to just sort of realize to not give up.
Yeah.
Because if you had told me, a few years ago that this is where I would end up being, I would have said, that's crazy. But you never know where life is going to take you.
Right. And then lastly, how was life before you got Mateo? Was it really hard? Was it to find a role? It
was hard. My background's in stand-up comedy, so I was just touring the country, doing comedy clubs around the country and working day jobs, ganon. And then my manager encouraged me to start acting and auditioning. I didn't think I was going to be an actor.
Oh wow!
I started out. I did a lot of theater in the high school here in the States, and I majored in theater in college. Pero my acting teacher in college actually told me that I was never gonna make it in the business.
Wow!
Taray, di ba?
Oh, nga?
Ang taray niya. sabi sa akin ng acting teacher ko, you may love the art, but the art doesn't love you.
Wow, that's
Ah,
real
che.
talent. Ano,
Che.
bumalik ka? Bumalik ka? Did you go back?
You know what? I unfortunately, you know what? I parang I really believe what he said at the time, so I switched my major.
Talaga?
So I switched from acting to costume design.
Wow.
And then I just sort of somebody told me when I was working at a theater company, you're funny, you should try stand up. Sabi ko, ay, pwede pala yung ganon. I can be a performer that way. I don't have to be an actor, I can be a comedian.
Right, right.
So that's when I started doing comedy, and it's funny how where life takes you. I started out an actor, and then I switched to comedy. Ngayon
Costume
bumalik na ako
designer?
sa acting, and now I'm on television.
Wow.
Diba? Ang galing talaga ng Lord.
Wow. Congratulations.